when we get to the funding part of this, it's tough. We need to talk through some of those different options. Anything else on the solution itself?
Not on the engineering of it.
How long before the engineering starts?
Depends on how we pay for it. Let's go through that. You all are familiar with, is there anything else?
No, nothing technical.
You're all, or I think probably you're all familiar with that we're going forward with the rate proposal right now, and we addressed this sort of issue with an enhanced service taxing subdistrict on a large scale. Most of West County would be in a subdistrict that would generate funds. That rate process is nearing completion. It's supposed to be done by August 13th. And what will happen is that our rate commission will give our board a rate report that indicates their judgment on how our rate should be structured and where we should go with it. And within a set of 5 criteria that are laid out in our charter, our board will review that report, and if those 5 criteria are met, and these are criteria like, is it a fair and equitable approach to rates? Does it have sufficient monies to retire outstanding bonds? Will it meet environmental regulatory requirements? Those kinds of things. So assuming that those 5 tests are met, our board would most likely enact the rate report recommendations this fall. And we would anticipate that you'd have a rate change happen early in 2008. But the premise of our enhanced service approach was voter-approved taxing subdistricts. And that takes time. I don't think anybody would argue that this isn't a serious problem, but it would, based on the way we wrote our proposal, erosion control projects would have to be one of the menu of things that the taxing subdistrict wants or is paying for. The rate commission's finishing up. I don't want to speculate what exactly is going to be in the rate report until we get the rate report, because I think that probably does you a disservice. And I can tell you that the enhanced service part of our rate report I think will be addressed, but we're not exactly sure whether they're going to see it the way we thought it was going to be, or morph it. And they have that ability to do that. All that being said, the way we wrote that rate report, you probably see a solution 2010. I think that's what you and I discussed at some point in the past. What's involved is the establishment of those subdistricts, public input on what enhanced services the subdistrict may want, and then a ballot initiative. With taxes, they're only assessed once per year, and so if you get a ballot initiative, let's say, for example, in November of 2008, after this public participation goes on, and you enact a tax rate, it'll be the next summer before taxes are assessed, the next winter in 2009 before taxes are collected. You know, at that point, there's money available to start doing something, and then it takes time to do the design and construction. But this kind of solution isn't the longest of those kinds of design and construction projects. So 2010 is an estimate, but we think it's a fairly middle-of-the-road estimate.
So nothing's going to happen for 3 years?
That's one option. I didn't come here to give you false hope, but I wanted to come and tell you exactly where we are, and then answer questions, and hopefully we see where things go. And we looked at a second option, and I'll tell you that we're not holding it out as a grandiose solution, okay? But it is a different option. We have the ability to create taxing subdistricts, so we looked at what it would take to create a subdistrict for Pepperdine Village subdivision and solicit the state of Missouri to get low-interest loans to try and get something to happen. And we have both a 20 and a 30-year scenario for a taxing sub-district within Pepper Tree Village. And we have a range of buyout construction costs between $1.4 million and $1.8 million. So we calculated how a taxing sub-district might work here. Now, understand that taxing sub-districts are, MSD gets the money by borrowing it, bills the project, and then the project costs are paid for by the landowners within the taxing sub-district over a period of time, 20 or 30 years. So we recognize that this is not the solution you're really interested in either, but we're working with what's at our disposal today.
I think the biggest problem with that would be to get the other people that don't have this problem. I mean, I'm sorry, if I'm living somewhere else and I don't have the problem, do I really want to pay out the extra? Except unless they want to look at it as their home value will stay and go forward.
Sure. But just from an abstract sense, if you're talking a 30-year loan for all the homes in Pepperdine Court, what would you, Pepper Tree Village, what would you be looking at? Just to give us an idea.
On the high side estimate,
Yeah.
For 30 years, the average annual tax charge per lot is about $1,300. On the low side estimate of that, 30 years, it's about $1,000. The 20-year versions are lower interest because the state won't loan money beyond 20, so we get lower interest rates, and we pass all that along. But because you're retiring the cost in 20 years, it's higher payments. The high side estimate for a $1.8 million project is about $1,600 a year in taxes. The low side's $1,250 by our estimate. And the first thing we talked about when we said, well, here's another option, is exactly what you just pointed out. You've got 87 homes in the subdivision. You've got 4 or 5 or 6 that are impacted, at least immediately impacted.
So that would add a couple hundred a month in taxes to every house in the village, in the neighborhood, right?
That's right.
Okay.
Let me ask you this then: what if you combine the two in some way, shape, or form? You have the sub district that's Pepperdine Village, and then you have the 3 years down the road, once everything works out, if it does work out like it's supposed to, as far as the super districts of West County versus just Pepperdine Village, can the homeowners possibly be paid back by that money? And I don't know what the laws are, what governs that when it comes to the funding aspect.
We were exploring that idea as recently as today with our Secretary-Treasurer of the district. It's possible that may work, but the caveat is that the enhanced service has to get passed, assuming the taxed approach we've talked about with this large taxing sub-district, West County size taxing sub-district.